Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. I am Ayesha and I welcome you all in this webinar on growth mindset for lifelong learning. I'm very honored to say that I'll be given this platform of Octara, which is known for bringing international and national resources from all around the world to train corporates. And I'm very humbled and honored to have Rosemary as a guest speaker who's joining from Canada to share her thoughts towards the end of the session. So I would like to welcome you all and Rosemary from Canada. And I also like to mention that I'll be hosting this webinar, and with me I have my colleague Zainab Isaji and Sarah Matik will be co-moderating this session. So everyone who is saying hello and Assalamu alaikum and your greeting on chat. So Assalamu alaikum and hello and welcome to the webinar. I will be sharing the flow of this webinar, and just it's taking a minute. So this is the flow of webinar. Like I've said, I welcome you all and I'm very pleased to have you on this webinar. Then I'll share some housekeeping rules to ensure the smooth flow of this 1 hour webinar. Then there will be a video message by our CEO Jamil Janjua about what we do at Octara. Then will be my presentation. And after that, I'll invite Rosemary to share her thoughts. We will take a group photograph with preferably our cameras on. There will be a Q&A session towards before the closing. Then I'll request JJ to have some closing remarks towards the end, and I'll share the upcoming programs and offerings at Octara, and of course, then we'll have a thank you. Now the housekeeping rules. I'll request all the participants to be on the listen only mode because it's only because to avoid background noise and interruptions. Although if you want to put any questions in the chat box during the presentation, you can feel free to use the chat box. This session is being recorded and it's also streaming on Facebook. So if any of your friends who have not registered, or if you want to recommend this to any of your colleague or friend, they can watch it from Facebook. Later, because this program is being recorded, it will be later uploaded on Octara's YouTube channel, which is there with the name of Octara Trainings. A group photograph will be taken, like I've said. Then there will be e-certificate of attendance to all those who will stay online till the end. And I would be and it would be very kind of you if you'll share the feedback on the webinar towards the end. Lastly, if you find any technical difficulty during the session, you can try log out, log in back. And if that doesn't resolve your issue, you can contact my colleague, Sarah Matik, who is also the co-host of this meeting. So before we move on, I would like to share the video message, a very short video message from our CEO, Jamil Janjua, about what we do at Octara. Have a look.
Hi, hello. My name is Jamil Janjua, and I'm the CEO of TCS Octara. Octara is a company that belongs to the TCS group of family, and it has established an enviable reputation as being one of the leading executive training service providers in Pakistan. A large part of our success is attributed to our chairman, Mr. Khalid Wan, whose personal commitment to encourage the development of the people at both TCS and at the Pakistan level. It has been very, very stimulating and very, very inspiring for us. We take great pride in delivering high quality learning experiences which are based on extensive research of training needs, after which programs are created, working with the best possible trainer, the content developed to address the needs, then marketed as a series of leadership acceleration programs, and finally delivered, ensuring all logistics is taken care of to ensure a high quality learning experience. Our team motto at Octara is to help you succeed. Thank you.
So that was JJ explaining about what we do at Octara. And he has the mission of helping you succeed. Now, building on his mission of helping you succeed, he came up with the idea of launching these platforms during the time of pandemic, when there was a sudden halt in the physical trainings. And everything has changed, and everything become online. So to bridge that gap between Octara trainings, in terms of offering physical program, he came up with two very useful platforms offering complimentary webinars. On the left side, you can see a platform with the name of Webmul Plus. Now, in this platform, you receive all sorts of complimentary webinars and recorded webinars, online trainings, virtual sessions, insights from HRM and different perspective, future trends, reports, podcasts, storytelling, and whatnot. So, and if you want to register to this platform, you can simply register and access all the e-learning materials that's available there. So, and I'll also share an interesting insight about how it became helpful to me in a personal capacity. On the right side, you can see another platform which is called Webmul Pakistan, made in Pakistan Webmul, a Phoenix Rising. Here we share all the positive news and achievements about Pakistan and Pakistanis around the world. So coming back to Webmul Plus, there are a lot of webinars, useful webinars, which are there for your professional and personal development. And in the plethora of those webinars, I came across, and it was something suggested by JJ again, conducted by Singularity University, and that became the inspiration of making this presentation and sharing this presentation with all of you. So a bit about myself. I joined Octara 5 years ago as a program executive, and then now promoted to the position of product specialist training. During the time of pandemic, I was able to moderate webinars which were presented by international and national speakers, and I also moderated online trainings. I'm involved in the content creation for marketing collateral. I've been able to introduce international and national trainers on different subjects, including digital transformation, data analytics, agile organization, and many other. I was the member of CA Toastmaster Club and won the certificate of best speaker in 2000 in this year currently. I did my MBA in marketing from Bahria University. And lastly, in the leisure time, I like watching movies, reading books, and walking, and I meditate mainly through walk. So that's about me. And now moving on to our formal presentation. Okay, let me quickly check the chat box. Okay, so I would request all the participants to have a look at the chat box, because all the Webmul Plus and Webmul Made in Pakistan Webmul registration link is there. So if you want to access all of the material there, you can simply register yourself through those links. Now, starting off with my presentation, what is mindset? And I think the topic of our presentation is growth mindset for lifelong learning. So it's important to understand mindset. Now, I would like to mention Carol Dweck, who is considered as the primary instigator in this area and in this field of study. And she has started her research on children and who were coping with studies. And her interest on mindset took her to brought this her research into workplace. Now she come up with the definition which says a mindset is a self-perception or self-theory that people hold about themselves. I think what she's trying to say is that how you view yourself is important, and based on that you make your belief. Now we get into the belief in the later part of the presentation, but it's very important at this point to realize कि आप अपने आप को खुद किस तरह से perceive करते हैं. Either आप अपने आप को negatively देखते हैं या positively perceive करते हैं. So your mindset is really pretty much determined in your you yourself determine your mindset. So how you believe about yourself is it determines that you are in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And I'll explain you in the later slide that what is the difference between fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Another very interesting definition given by Tim Sanders, who is the VP Customer Service in Upwork. He says a mindset is a machine, and if you point it in a certain direction, you determine its torque. What he's trying to say that your mind is not your thought. It's like a machine. और अगर आप उसको किसी एक डायरेक्शन में रखते थे तो और आप एक डायरेक्शन में अगर आप उसको प्लेस करते तो you will see things from the same direction and you will receive energies from the same direction. Moving on to the next slide. It's just taking a few minutes because in the later slides, I will talk about the fundamental beliefs which determines our mindset. Okay. So what is the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset? The person with the growth mindset is actually a person with a growth mindset is actually looking failure as an opportunity to grow. And he always wanted to try new things. He wanted to take challenges and he focused on attitudes, not on outcomes. The feedback given to the person with the growth mindset, always take it as a constructive or in a positive way and inspired by other people's success. On the other hand side, if you see people from a fixed mindset, they always resist change for the first place and always say things that why things are changing, why there should be a need of change. It should remain the same way it was going, or the things were at the first place. And lastly, what they do is they accept things as they are without coming out of their comfort zone. Now, the very important thing that we all need to learn to really diagnose or really get into growth mindset is what is it that takes you from fixed mindset to growth mindset. And note here, embracing new things and more importantly, embracing new learnings. Now, one cannot be in one mindset all the time. Like you cannot be a growth mindset or one cannot be, in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. It's really dependent on your beliefs and your circumstances that would shape takes you towards fixed or growth mindset. Now, here are the few fundamental beliefs that we'll analyze that make our mindset, and how we view these beliefs are pertinent to growth mindset. Belief number one. Belief number one is, so intelligence is about is something, it starts from our schooling system, जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा emphasis और focus होता है pass और fail पे. And children who get fail they get demotivated, and they sort of make this mindset that there are certain things that we can do and there are certain things that we cannot do. And IQ, again, I would like to pause and talk about IQ. Now, IQ was something which was originated to help people who are not good at studies and direct their learning towards a certain subject. But over time, what happened is it becomes codified and people associate IQ with intelligence and hence equate intelligence with success. Now, that's not true. And if we analyze this belief in the fixed mindset, so people in a fixed mindset actually believe that, okay, based on my IQ level, I can do only this much. And these are the areas or these are the territories that, so a person in a fixed mindset, was what I'm trying to say, what I was talking about is, in a person with a fixed mindset says that, okay, my IQ is this much and I can do only this much. And I can, navigate in certain areas, and there are certain areas that are not meant for me. However, in the growth mindset, you say, okay, I have learned I have done new things. I can take new things. I have learned hard things in the past, and I can use my resources to enhance my abilities and grow my abilities. So that's how you should be perceiving intelligence, and that's how you perceive intelligence in a growth mindset. Moving on to the next slide, which is about failure. I think this is something I think I would like to put a great emphasis on this slide. And failure, and Carol Dweck, again, I would like to mention her because she is the primary instigator in the subject. And she says that one of her incidents that जो उन्होंने quote किया था कि in the high school students, they were having some test and they were supposedly score 84 points to pass that exam. Now what the teacher does during the for scoring the subject, for scoring the students, what she did is she said, okay, either you have this much score which comes above 84, and the people who didn't achieve 84, she said, not yet. So it's very important to say to yourself and people around you that if you haven't achieved, or if you haven't scored a certain numbers in an exam or whatever task that you have been given, say to yourself, not yet. And not only say to yourself, not yet, but those who are around you and who are struggling to get somewhere, help them in achieving those tasks or getting that task accomplished by encouraging them and saying not yet. Another incident that I want to quote from the Winston Churchill experience during the World War II, when he was facing failures one after the other. So what he did is he used to ask his colleague that what could go wrong, what is the worst scenario in this that can happen in a particular situation. So he used to have opinions from all of his colleagues. And then he used to, before going to bed, he used to analyze all those factors that can make that situation successful, that can lead them to a better result. And this is a very powerful thing that he has said, that success consists of going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So not limiting yourself to intelligence, rather focusing on your attitude, your hard work, and your process, and of course your progress. It's not the end goal. And ultimately you will get there in a due time. The next slide is about change. I think change is something that we can universally connect due to pandemic, and we have all been there. We all have faced one way or the other. Working from home is one of the biggest challenges that we have faced. How to deal with work, how to, ऐसा लगता था जैसे हम 24 घंटे काम कर रहे हैं, या ऐसा लग रहा था कि हम बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें करके भी बहुत कम अचीव कर रहे हैं. So I think we have universally faced change. So Tim Sender, again, I would like to mention him. He says that change is constant and disruption is imminent, and especially in this area, in this time where technology is rapidly growing, change cannot be can be worse. It cannot be. So if we analyze change and a fixed mindset, people with fixed mindset would say, okay, why change is happening in the first place, and they will resist it to the extent they can, and then they say, okay, they take it as a difficulty rather than as an opportunity. And the last thing that, like I've said, they accept things as they are. They create a comfort zone and stay there without changing or without doing anything different. However, if we analyze this belief in a growth mindset, people with growth mindset take change as an opportunity to grow, as an opportunity to take to do things differently, and to be above of the situation, rather than being a pessimist or a victim of change. एक और बहुत अच्छी example है जो I've listened in the while I was researching on the subject, which was given that whenever you're dealt or you are in the change position, if you have change in your life, either in your personal capacity or in your professional capacity, you always go back to your previous experiences where you have met with change. It can be a positive or negative, and really diagnose and analyze the steps that you have taken, the reactions that you have made to that change, and what are the people who were there around you, and try to gravitate and surround yourself to people who are there to support you, or who are there to help you in embracing that change. So that's very important belief, and when you are in a growth mindset, you can actually capitalize on change. Moving on to belief number four, and I think we can all relate to this. I think we can all relate to all of the 6 beliefs, but this is a very interesting slogan that I've read, that others people's success. Now, other people's success is not your failure. Now, we live in a society when we are constantly comparing ourselves, and I think social media is adding much heat to it, which should not be there at the first place. That's my perception on it. And and I think we refer our success from other people's successes, and I think if we analyze other people's success in the fixed mindset, what happens to us is we get envious. हम jealous हो जाते हैं लोगों से कि okay they, and we start saying things like okay he's rich enough, he's intelligent, he's or या हम ये भी कहते हैं कि ओके ये लकी होगा, इसको कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल गई होगी, इसकी कोई सोर्स होगी. So we say, or we have that kind of mindset on other people's successes. However, if you analyze this belief in a growth mindset, what you do is you try to think about it and take the success and take the steps that have taken them to that success, and what part of success that you want to take. जरूरी नहीं है कि पूरी जो ट्रेजेक्टरी उन्होंने फॉलो की है to achieve that task वो आपके लिए भी suitable हो. So you really have to understand that what part of success or steps that you want to adopt to accomplish a certain task. And then finally, do I want that success or not? For everyone, success is different. For everyone, it has a different meaning. I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat box, and I'll come to those questions toward the end. So we'll try to answer your questions toward the end. So coming back to the belief 4, in a summary, I would say that it's really the matter of how you don't get jealous or envious of other people's success. Rather, try to analyze it and take it and try to adopt the things that you can adopt, and in the first place, ask yourself either you want this success or not. Moving on to the belief number 5, which is feedback. Now, feedback is something. For the first place, when I was researching on it, I thought, what is the relevance of feedback with mindset? But when I went into when I dig into this research, and जब मैं इसके अंदर पूरी तरह से engross हुई, तो I realized that it has a very profound effect on you, on your mindset. So firstly, it's very important to realize that feedback, how you give feedback and receive feedback, and in the process of feedback, either you should be giving it personally or publicly or privately. That's very important. But the greater emphasis was on how you receive feedback from others. And now I would like to, give the analysis of taking feedback or receiving feedbacks in 2 types of mindset, which is fixed and growth. Now, firstly, in the fixed mindset, whenever you receive feedback, maybe you will say to yourself, if you are in a fixed mindset, why this person is giving me feedback? Do I ask him? Okay, if give you a feedback, you say, okay, he's always negative about me. Or you say, okay, this person, no, this is not the right person, this is not the right thing to say, to have it. Or एक natural बात है कि if somebody gives you a negative feedback और वो थोड़ा harsh हो, तो आप एक counter attack mode में चले जाते हैं. So that's now how you should be reacting. What happens in growth mindset, whenever any or everyone gives you the feedback, you take a moment and pause, and you tell yourself, and you take time in giving the reaction to that feedback. It's very important to take time in giving your reaction, and then you try to analyze and contemplate and reflect on what is the person saying, and what can be done to what are the positive aspects that can be taken from the feedback. And interesting, the thing that I found out about feedback, if a person is constantly giving you negative feedback, कि भाई ये तो दे ही नेगेटिव फीडबैक रहा है, ही इज नॉट हैप्पी विद मी, जो मैं कुछ भी कर लूं, दिस पर्सन इज नॉट गिविंग मी और इज नॉट शोइंग पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड. So it's not about fact, it's about feeling. So what you need to do in a personal or in a professional capacity, you need to sit down with that person and ask in a conversational style, what is it that we can do together to change this. And again, you have to be smart enough to understand that really at the first place आप उस बंदे के साथ आपको बात करनी चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए. So you have to pick your battles wisely. So this is about feedback, and I think if a feedback is given in a respectful fair and constructive way, it will always help you in doing your task or doing your work in personal and professional capacity better. Moving on to belief number 6, which is the key or the fundamental aspect of lifelong learning: desire to learn. Now, desire to learn is something which is wanting to learn or willing to learn. And I think this becomes crucially difficult when we are in our adult life or we are working as a professional. होता ये है कि we stick to our belief, we stick to our routine, और जो हम कर रहे होते हैं बस हम उसी को रूटीन की तरह करते रहते हैं. We don't want to learn, we don't want to do different things when we are already occupied in one profession or pursuing a, for instance, if you are a student, अगर आप वो कर रहे हैं तो studies is the only thing that you want to do, you want to get good grades and you don't want to get into different things. From an organizational context, if you are in a certain function, you just stick to it, especially if you are, I'm talking about fixed mindset. But desire to learn is something which will enable you to stretch your abilities, which will enable you to unveil your potentials, which will enable you to unveil your hidden areas that can be very useful in your professional and personal life. A very I think very pertinent and a very apt quote by Sophocles, a Greek philosopher, who said, always desire to learn something useful. And I think this is very relevant in today's time, because especially things have changed, not only for everyone. I mean, even for the housewives, even for students, even for working professionals. So everything has changed. So you need to learn to, you should always have a desire, or should always have something to learn to keep yourself up and to keep going, to have a continuous momentum of growing. And another quote which is given by Nelson Mandela, and this is something he said when he was in prison, and someone came to him and asked him, why you are so studious, why you always study when you are in prison, you have a law degree already. So this whole studying thing, how it helped you when you are in prison? So he, in response to that question, he said, I never lose, I either win or learn. So I think that's very important. And learning new things not only keep you happy, but it also help you grow your brain. Now, coming on to the lifelong learning process. Now, learning is something and continuous learning is something which is very important for lifelong learning. And the strategy for lifelong learning, the key element or emotion is curiosity. Now, we live in a society, or we live in I think universally, it's been said and emphasized that when we are in our childhood, we are curious about random things. और हमें किसी की चीज़ के बारे में जो लोगों को बहुत फजूल या बहुत irrelevant लग रही होती है, generally kids are very interested and curious about things. But as we grow old, what we encourage is compliance and discourage curiosity. And that's where you stop the process of learning. And that's where you stop the process of growing your mind, or unveiling the territories that you can unveil otherwise. Now, there are two types of curiosity that you have. Curiosity can lead you to unveil a totally different path, or it can be a purpose driven curiosity. मैं इसको थोड़ा सा और briefly explain कर देती हूँ कि अगर आप क्यूरियोसिटी या तो आप बिल्कुल ऑल टुगेदर एक डिफरेंट चीज़ अपने लिए अडॉप्ट कर लेंगे, कोई एक डिफरेंट पाथ जो आपके लिए शायद पहले आप नहीं कर रहे थे, और वो आपके लिए एक्सट्रीमली एक्साइटिंग और एक्सट्रीमली यूजफुल होगा, बोथ इन योर पर्सनल एंड प्रोफेशनल ग्रोथ. और दूसरी चीज़ है पर्पस ड्रिवन क्यूरियोसिटी, जो आप ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आर अ वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल, और इफ लेट्स से इफ यू आर इन मार्केटिंग, सो purpose driven curiosity will lead you to learn more things about marketing, more things about a certain area of your interest or your profession. So it's always there, the emotion should always be there. So how to invoke this curiosity, especially when you are in your adult life? Because frankly speaking, हमारे पास time नहीं होता. We are stuck in 9 to 6 or 9 to 5 routine, and we don't have time for giving extra time to spare to do something new. So the second point is that's been shared is improve your resume. Now, by improving your resume, it doesn't mean that you have to you update your job profile and you have to upload it on LinkedIn or any social platform. It's about your intellectual resume, how you are stretching your learning or how you are increasing your learnings on different subjects, and hence increasing your intellectual resume, getting the grip of different things. And here I think it's important, when you fail on learning anything, don't just give up on it. Okay, अच्छा ये चीज तो मुझे नहीं आई, तो it's okay, it's not meant for you. Move on to the next interest or the next area of curiosity. And I think the next point is related to that, rotation of interest. Now, often time it happens, हमें कोई चीज बहुत exotic के बहुत अच्छी लगती है कि okay, I want to learn to play guitar, or I want to do this trekking thing, or I want to learn about digital transformation, or I want to learn about marketing, or I want to learn anything or anything. But in the course of time you feel that this thing is not meant for me, so move on to the next interest. Don't just stuck to that interest forever. Move on. आपको एक gut feeling आ जाती है कि okay, no, I think I'm not taking enough from this, ये मुझे help नहीं कर रहा, so move on to the next. And the last thing in the process of lifelong learning is sharing knowledge. Now, in the process of sharing knowledge, you gain perspective from other. Whenever you receive whenever you share knowledge with other, it's very natural that a person will give you his or her perspective on a subject matter. And in that you will find that how much you, firstly आपको पता चलेगा कि कितना आपको वो certain area के बारे में पता चला है in the process of explaining to that person. The second thing that will happen to you is that you will realize that what are the gap areas in this particular subject that I need to learn. And it can also lead to new learnings or new areas of learnings. So sharing knowledge is, or getting feedback is very important. Now, in feedback, I would like to give the example of Tim Sanders, who is a vice president in a customer insight company. So earlier in his career, he used to have a mentoring session with his boss, who's considered the authority in the audio video of internet back in like 90s and in the mid 90s. So one day Tim asked his boss, Mark, why do you in the mentoring session, he used to give 45 minutes, initial 45 minutes for sharing knowledge and teaching him about the subject. And the last 15 minutes were kept for taking his feedback, where Tim has to share his knowledge or his perspective on a certain thing or on that area. So he said, Mark said to us that in the process of taking feedback or receiving feedback, a mentor learns a lot about the subject, and that's how you continue continue the journey of lifelong learning. अगर एक mentor ये समझ जाए कि okay, I'm the authority and nobody can add to this subject, that's where you are stopping yourself for learning new things. But when you are ready to take a feedback, even from a junior resource or even from a person who is new in the field, you will learn a lot, because in the process, in the feeling of gratitude, that person will share a lot with you. I think mentoring is again the same thing that I've shared, that mentoring is something that takes you to lifelong learning process. And mentoring is something is where you challenge your assumptions as well. I'll talk about this in the coming slides. Now, process of inculcating lifelong learning. Now, Tim Sanders has actually capsuled this whole lifelong learning process, how we can inculcate it or embrace it in our particular in our life. For instance, I would like to give an example here. If somebody's mic is on, I would really request to please put your mic on mute. So this is a very, very, very useful slide for all of us. It's actually a guideline to embrace lifelong learning. So for instance, you are working in a marketing or a customer service, let's say customer service department, and you want to really learn and you are curious about what is it that can be learned in the area of customer service. So firstly, you have to analyze your daily routine and dedicate a certain time to read about or learn about that subject. So it's really about identifying a time or in your schedule. Then second thing is curriculum. You have to decide, like there are a lot of online material that is provided, courses that are there, not only online but also offline, that are available, that are there, that can help you uh, in your in leading your curiosity and finding knowledge about that certain area. So you have to enroll in a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly a syllabus, a course to really learn about the subject. It's not like कि आज किया कल नहीं किया, so it will not create any difference, या उससे आपको कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. So you have to have a particular curriculum in place to understand this, to learn about a certain subject. Then techniques. Now traditionally books were there, but now with technology and YouTube, I think everything and anything is available on YouTube and other digital channels like podcast. So for the book, I think you can use either books or either videos, or you can use this combination of both the techniques, because at times book reading gets very boring, or at times video watching is very brain draining. So you have to mix and match the techniques of learning about that thing. Now a very interesting thing that has been shared about learning a new stuff, like for instance you are learning on customer services. So you have to identify your core in that area. Like for example, you are learning about customer service, that's your core. So you are reading or watching videos on customer services, but that there should be something which is adjacent to your core interest. And I'll give you the example: digital transformation, like how digital transformation is revamping or rechanging the whole customer service experience. So that can be your adjacent area of learning. And then there is third area, which is a general area of interest, because अगर आप बहुत एक boring और monotonous और बहुत studious किस्म की चीजें और बहुत hardcore चीजें पढ़ते रहेंगे, तो that will make you आप divert हो जाएंगे, या you will say okay, you may not proceed. So in order to keep yourself hooked, and in order to keep yourself interested in the process of lifelong learning, it's important to have something interesting. It could be in the form of video, it could be in the form of book reading. It's really dependent on your choice. And lastly, feedback, जो मैंने इससे पहले वाली slide में भी share किया था, कि when you gain perspective and when you share knowledge and gain other people's perspective, that's how you identify that's how much you have learned, what are the gap areas, and what are the new areas that can be learned. So that's really about time, curriculum, technique, and feedback. And I think this is something which is very helpful for people who are working as a professional in organization. So a question that has been asked, a common question that comes to mind, especially in the situation: how do you unlearn? I think Hamari organization, Octara, I would like to give the example of Octara over here. We used to have physical trainings, and the whole business model was based on delivering trainings on face-to-face format. And we used to have international trainers coming, or even national trainers coming. So there was whole ambience, the lunches, and the slides and interaction, networking. The whole thing has changed. And we have to come up to online, and that's where I think Webmul and learning to to have a relationship with our client, to be able to have to become visible and have a relationship, and to be able to in a growth mindset, we come up with the online solution first thing, and in the process we have learned many things about going online. And I think we are pretty much successful in not only delivering free webinars, but we are also, on last Thursday, when everything is open, we did an online training. So we have gradually understood the process, the change that happened in the environment, and we are adapting to it. So if you want to learn, Tim Sender advised to learn from a contemporary source. That's very important, and learn from a resource that can broaden your horizon at large. And the second thing that has been mentioned, that challenge your assumptions. Now, how you challenge your assumption? You can challenge your assumption by having a challenging conversation with someone who has more knowledge than you, or who has a different knowledge on you. So अगर आप सोच लेंगे कि ठीक है ये मैंने पढ़ लिया है, ये काफ़ी है, so that might not help you in the process, और वो आप एक limiting एक factor में आ जाएंगे, एक limited circle में आ जाएंगे. However, if you will have a conversation, or you refer to any other resource, that's where you will find other things that, okay, this thing can be done either this way and that way. And challenging conversation, I would like to emphasize, is very helpful in unlearning new things, in unlearning the old things. Sorry. Now, this particular slide is meant for people who are working in organizations, especially if you are working as a leader. And I think somehow we are leading, if we are not leading a family or a group, or we are leading ourselves. That's there. So if you are working as a leader, seek out for learner. Now, there is a very famous quote which says, hire for attitude, not for aptitude. Now, if you are जो इसमें एग्जांपल दी थी वो बहुत ही, आई थिंक हम सब एज अ लीडर, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट इफ यू hire a person who has a very high IQ, or who is very intelligent, who is very talented, then that person might, it can happen that person might not be able, is not comfortable in sharing his knowledge. He's arrogant about the fact that he's so intelligent, and he might make other people bad about themselves, okay, that you don't know about a certain subject. So you always try to seek out for people who have this attitude of learning and sharing knowledge, and to be able to transfer that knowledge with others, knowledge with others, and build a culture that allow people to fail, and take failure as an opportunity. Now, it's in the organizational context, it's very common saying that fail and fail fast, because failing fast will enable you to move on to the next procedure, or the next way of doing it. So as a leader, you should always create an environment where you don't discourage people who didn't achieve a certain task, or who didn't perform to the level that they were required, but rather you should focus on the process that they have taken, or the steps they have taken to achieve those to complete that task. And then understanding not yet, like Carol Dweck has said, that if you face any difficulty, you said to yourself and you said to your people around you, to its difficulty is whenever the difficulty comes or a challenge comes and you are unable to deal with the challenge successfully, you say to yourself, not yet. And by inculcating and by providing that sort of culture, you will encourage people to do different things, to come out and take risks. And uh, uh, in the organizations, we usually have a goal evaluation or evaluation forms that we do, performance evaluation at the end of a quarter, or a year, or semi-annually. But I think we should research about organizations who set learning goals, because they don't focus on the outcome, they focus on the process. They focus that where the person has started and how far he has or she has come in the process of learning. So that's very important. Now, feedback, as a leader, you should create a feedback rich environment where it should be given in a positive, respectful, and a fair way, and where people should take it as a thing for their improvement rather than a personal judgment. I would like to give an example, like if a person is not and it should be something which is pointing towards activity about something that they have said or done, rather than labeling themselves. So labeling them, like for example, if somebody if you say someone you are lazy, you are interpretation, you are giving your interpretation to that person. But if you point out the activity, that okay, the reports or the tasks that you are doing are not on time, that's where you are indicating the activities rather than labeling the person that you are lazy, or you are not enough. So that's very important. And then lastly, encourage people to have personal goal as well, along with their professional goals, because that will help them to nurture their mind and to, you know, to have a mindset which is not purely or wholly focused, क्योंकि वो होता ही है कि वो एक जोन में आ जाता है और एक फ्रेम ऑफ माइंड बन जाता है और एक कंफर्ट जोन आप क्रिएट कर लेते हैं और एक फिक्स माइंडसेट में चले जाते हैं. So having a personal goal and encouraging people to have a personal goal can actually help them have a better life in their personal and professional capacity. So this was something. Now this slide is about it's very interesting because it says about your purpose. And you not only find, so nobody comes with the user manual when you are at the time of birth. No nurse comes to your parent and give a user manual and says, okay, आपने अब इस बच्चे को इस तरह से इसका brought up करना है और इसको इस तरह से ये चीजें हैं जो आपने करवानी है. जो you find your purpose by going through interest in areas in where you are somewhat interest, or you have a deep interest, or you find it really to have a subject. Like as you grow old, you opt for a certain subject and you see, okay, this is my subject. And again, curiosity is very important in this finding your purpose thing, because if you feel, okay, this is my area of subject and I can only grow in that, that will stop you from learning. Now you can also find your purpose through your hobby, your work, your passion, and lastly, your reason for being. A very interesting slide about Generation Z, and it's based on the Ikigai concept. Now, I would like to explain two things. Now, Ikigai is a Japanese concept which says that, which is referring to something which gives you a sense of purpose or your sense of living or your purpose of living. So now Generation Z, which is starting from the year 1996, especially in the West, they are looking and they are joining the workforce. They are looking for their purpose. So they start up from contrary to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, where you start from the bottom and goes to top of the pyramid. They start from the top and they really want to know their purpose or their mission in their life. And they gradually do things that they love and become good at it and get paid for it. So as a leader, you really need to think and research on this matter, that okay, how the Generation Z or upcoming generation is thinking about the purpose. So that's also very important. Traditionally, millennials or Generation X and Z, X and Y, they used to, they have this bottom-up approach. This takes me to the end of my presentation. And I would like to summarize by saying it that if you are in a growth mindset, you always believe that you can grow your basic abilities, and you can also you can increase the size of your brain by exposing yourself to new ideas, and be curious about different things and the process that have taken you to learn new things, and also not taking intelligence as a limiting factor, because it all boils down to the fact that if you perceive in the first place, okay, I'm only this much intelligent, then you are एक मिनट में आप फिक्स माइंडसेट की टेरिटरी में चले जाएंगे. And ultimately, the love for continuous learning, the love for learning and resilience will help you in achieving great accomplishment. I would like to add one more little point about resilience that I have learned in one of the webinar that has been shared on Webmul Plus about resilience. Now, resilience is something जो हम expect करते हैं. Resilience is perseverance. It's about bouncing back or not giving up. So resilience is something which is हम expect करते हैं कि दूसरे show करें but हम ना show करें. So we all need to work together and help and create an environment that create resilience in individuals. And with that, I come to an end, and I would leave you with this recommendation about a book, which is written by, again, Carol Dweck, who's considered as the authority. She has written a book, Mindset, and she's a professor at Stanford University, and she's also taught at Harvard University and some other universities in America. So go and check out this book if you have time, because she's also there on YouTube, and she has done some fundamental work, and she has delivered some very useful videos about mindset. And with that, I would like to say a quote which is given by Tim Sanders, that in times of challenges and adversity, only through learnings that pressure makes diamond. Thank you all. And now I would like to invite Rosemary to who is the guest speaker of our session today. A brief introduction about Rosemary. She has an extensive experience in the area of HR, and now she's working. She's the founder and transformational coach at Coaching Works. She is a certified certified coach from International Coach Federation, and her famous mindset courses from overwhelm to abundance. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Rosemary to share her thoughts.
Thank you so much, Ayesha, for inviting me to share this platform with you. This morning, I was going to say, because in Toronto, it's early morning, and in Karachi, it is afternoon. Karachi, for those of you who don't know me, Karachi is my hometown. I'm an immigrant to Canada, immigrated here twice, to be honest. But I'm just here to share some of my own learnings through the years that I have had in having a growth mindset for lifelong learning. I came across Carol Dweck's book. When I first started coaching, it was kind of one of the fundamental foundations, because the mindset, it's one of the essentials, one of the requirements for our survival today. As Ayesha shared, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we go from the bottom up. But if we were to look at, when you reach up and we look at self-actualization, okay? Self-actualization is all about having a growth mindset. Because without reaching there, you cannot have, and if you don't have an appetite for curiosity and learning, then nothing happens. So as we're living today in the post-pandemic period, we have been called upon, each and every one of us, doesn't matter where on the globe, doesn't matter which country, which economic class, we have all been forced to change the way we do things. We have been forced to live differently. We've been forced to think differently. We have been forced to work differently, either virtual, hybrid. We're all wearing masks. We all want to be careful. And here in Toronto, we still have kind of like a semi-lockdown. We're still working virtually for the most part. But if we had a fixed mindset, we would certainly stagnate. And what would happen if we stagnate? It's a recipe for our brain to die and give up, and that would be the end. So essentially, in living in today's world, we do not have a choice. We have to have a growth mindset. I teach international students here in Toronto, employment and career preparedness. And I tell them they can never take their foot off the accelerator. It's continuous learning and continuous learning and continuous learning. It never ever stops. So some points that I would like to share with you on the mindset is, number one, is that your mindset is your mindset. It's personal to you. You own your mindset. Nobody else can own your mindset. And so it is you that dictates what you do, because you control what you think. You control what you put into your mind. So a negative mindset is what I call a scarcity mindset, because it's closed. It's only thinking of what the bad things are going to happen. And a positive mindset is an abundant mindset, because you are allowing everything that you want to learn to come in. So it's your choice. You can have a negative mindset and be poor in your thinking, or you can have a positive mindset and be abundant and rich in your thinking. And as Stephen Covey says, that you direct your life using your independent will And ultimately, that's what's going to lead you to your destiny. It's your mindset. So it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else. And don't ever give your power away to somebody else to control and manipulate your mind. Number two is that your mindset also, it kind of takes charge of your attitude. Okay, and your attitude also belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else. So your attitude is something that's visible 24/7. Okay, it's controlled by how you think, and it controls your thoughts, it controls your words, and it controls your deeds. And sometimes my clients ask me, do you think I can be able to do this? Or my students ask me, do you think I'll ever find the job of my dreams? And I tell them that it's not the resume, it's not the LinkedIn profile that's going to get you what you want. It's only your attitude. And your attitude is dictated by your mindset. The third thing, and Ayesha talked about this really a lot, is about failure. And I just want to highlight that failure is not a person. And we tend to say he is a failure and she is a failure. But he or she is not a failure. It's nobody's middle name. Failure is only a situation. So if at first you didn't succeed in the situation, you can do it again and you can do it again. It's only a situation. And if you weren't going to fail at something, how were you going to learn? Nothing is instant coffee, right? So nothing becomes a success right away. But remember that failing is part of learning. So failing then is part of a growth mindset. If you think of little children, how did they start to walk? They fell down, they got hurt, right? Then they start to walk. And if you don't fall down and feel the pain, unfortunately, we learn sometimes with pain. Then we don't have that growth mindset. Also, when we're talking about failure, we are so ingrained in that the person is a failure. Therefore, we get afraid of making a mistake. Nothing is perfect. Perfectionism is only an illusion. It doesn't exist in real life. This has to be perfect, that has to be perfect, because every day changes. We change. We go through a certain experience, we change. Attending this webinar today, listening to Ayesha, maybe listening to me, you get some new points, you change. You do something, change is constant, right? It happens all the time. So nothing is perfect. We just do the best we can with the resources that we have. So aiming for perfection is a barrier to a growth mindset. It stops you from having a growth mindset if every time you want to do something, you think it has to be perfect, and then you don't achieve anything with that. Okay, what else do I have to show? Yeah, there is no such thing as a mistake. I use that word is out of my vocabulary. There is only opportunity to learn and grow. Because every time something doesn't work out for you, you've learned one more way of what not to do to achieve what it is you want. A growth mindset also needs a lot of nurturing. And how are you going to nurture a growth mindset? It's the same way as Ayesha was mentioning, it has to be consistent. You've got to do it all the time. A growth mindset becomes a habit. So nurturing your mindset means you have to get rid of negative thoughts, negative people, negative situations. You have to declutter, get rid of. You don't need toxic, you don't need pain, you don't need unwanted things. Yes, as part of life, we go through certain situations. But if you had a growth mindset, you would always come out of challenges on top. So how do you nurture a growth mindset? We are living in this wonderful age, and Ayesha shared we have YouTubes, we have podcasts, we have books, so much information that's even freely available on the internet. I know that technology has brought everything right into our living room, if you want to say, or into our bedroom if you're reading at nighttime like I do, but it's brought everything to your doorstep. So there's no, if you have a computer, there is no barrier to you building a mindset that grows and grows and grows. With a growth mindset, you accept change. And today, we have to all accept change, different ways of doing things. Technology is moving so fast that we have to learn to adopt, we have to learn to adapt, we have to learn to accept, and we have to learn to be agile, be flexible, like dough, one day this, one day that. Everything is so uncertain, and resilience is part of what we need to become better at in our lives in order to survive these changing times. So you can read, you can watch YouTubes, you can listen to podcasts, but if you're not going to implement any of that, true learning is never going to take place. It's pointless having all this wisdom and not implementing and not sharing. We need to be teachers and learners at the same time. And as coaches, we also say you need to be the observer and the participant of your own life. So learning also takes place if you were to do some reflective thinking and you started to watch and observe. Okay, when I do this, this is what happens. You do some reflective thinking, you can do some critical thinking, okay, and you can give your own self some feedback. And this will help you as you start to create your growth mindset and you experience different ideas, you do different things. You can decide for yourself, you become self-aware of what your own strengths are, what are your own preferences, and what is it you would like to do. We can't do everything. Everybody has a certain gift, everybody has a certain resource, and I kind of share with people, well, what could give you more satisfaction than for you to be an expert at what you do? And so recently I was listening to another guru, another coaching guru, and he was talking about how we set goals. And Aisha talked about purpose, and we talk about finding out your why. Why are you here? What is it you want to do? What is your purpose on earth? What do you want to leave behind? What kind of legacy is it that you want to leave behind? And when I talk about behind, I'm not saying in the next life when you go. I'm talking about every time you turn your back. What do you want to leave behind with the person you just dealt with or you just spoke to? And so he says, a goal is not a goal unless it's not daunting. I use the word daunting, meaning that it's got to be bigger than you. Otherwise, it's just another task. It's not a goal. A goal for you to achieve, for you to have a growth mindset, is something for you to have that's bigger than life. And so I would end my few words, my thoughts on a growth mindset with something more powerful than a goal is for you to have an intention. And Aisha, I heard you say some stuff in Urdu, but is there a translation for the word intention in Urdu? Because I'd like everyone to understand that it's different from a goal.
It's irada.
What would you say?
Irada.
Irada. Okay, an irada. You're determined, you're going to do it. Good, now I'll start. So you make that irada, that this is your intention, because when you do that, you combine your mind and your heart, and it's definitely going to happen. So you will notice that even when you use that word, mera irada ye tha, that means you've made up your mind to do that. It's not something you're hoping to do and so on. So I think that's a great way for me.
JJ is given, JJ is saying niyat. Intention
Niyat.
is niyat.
Yes, that is, uske niyat kharab hai, but that is more about spirit, right? That's when I would hear that word niyat. If you have a benevolent intention, okay. But for you to have an intention, to have a growth mindset, and you're going to make that commitment now, and how you're going to do it. I'm going to read one book a week. I'm going to listen to a YouTube. I'm going to listen to a podcast, and then you'll find your favorite people that you want to hear. You find your favorite people that you want to read. And it's something that you have a preference in. If you enjoy what you do, then you're going to make it happen. That's where the growth mindset takes place. And so I would, in conclusion, I would just, I would just call to mind, and I think on this platform, it really behooves me to call to mind somebody that's been an ambassador of a growth mindset and done continuous learning in Pakistan. And that is nobody other than Jamil Janjua, JJ, as we call him so fondly, because I grew up on this whole platform of the British Council and Octara when it came into being. And it's really absolutely wonderful that Khalid Awan has, through his company TCS, and appointed somebody like JJ, who has brought forward so many Pakistani trainers on the platform and thousands of participants in all the workshops. Now we've all developed this growth mindset and this ability for continuous learning. So JJ, I take this opportunity. Finally, I got it to say thank you to you and to Team Octara for supporting me all these years.
Thank you, Rosemary, for your words, for your kind words and insights on the subject growth mindset. And I think you have highlighted a very strong point that is for me, that's a takeaway from me. And I think बहुत सारे और लोगों के भी लिए होगा कि don't try to be perfect, don't go for perfectionism. I think that's very important takeaway for me particularly. So with that, I think before we move on to the question answer session, I would request all the participants to switch on their cameras so that we can have a group photo to make this webinar more memorable. And my colleague Sare Matik will click a picture for us. So be at your best poses, smile and thumbs up.
Yeah, just wait. Okay, we are ready. Thank you. Done.
Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. If you have any question, you can put it in the chat box and we can answer your question. And I think I will also request Rosemary to answer the question if it's directed to her. Okay, now somebody in the chat box have said something about learning on job. So let me go to that. Yeah. So Sayed Kashif is saying 70% learning is from on the job. That's what help you to transform as well. Yes, I agree with your point. But the focus here is not to completely rely on your job. Yes, you learn a lot from your practical experiences. There is nothing better than that. But you should not only focusing on your job, and also in your job, try to rotate on different functions or different tasks that will also help you in growing your capacity and growing your mind and in your learning curve. So I think I agree to your point that yes, it happens when you are on job. But the 30% lag can be overcome through your own personal efforts. And other than that, thank you, Adil Saab, for your comment. He's congratulating me, and he's also saying hello to you, Rosemary. And I would lastly, I would Accent and take 3 days on person. It's process, not person. Yes, yes, Kashif, I agree. It's a process. And through that process, it's important what is it that you are taking? What is it that you are learning from your process of failure? Like Rosemary has said, it's not a person, it's not a middle name in your name. So it's really about the process, and you can always achieve and you can always come above your failures. I think with that, I would request our CEO, JJ, Jamil Janjua, to have some remarks, some closing remarks. JJ, you are on mute.
Thank you very much, Ayesha, for a very interesting presentation. There was a comment earlier on I read from Lady Mariam, who rightly pointed out that we should have this webinars time bound, and I think we have exceeded the time that people would appreciate it for the purposes of absorption, the purposes of time. So I won't say much except to say thank you very much to Ayesha. I must share this with you that this is her first live presentation, and in the spirit of helping our people succeed, I encouraged her to make this presentation when I heard her talk about this growth mindset. So I did ask her to, compile or to make a presentation of 20 to 25 minutes, which she did. It took her about a week or 10 days, and then she went on leave and then came back. And when I heard her, I said, okay, we just can, like she herself has mentioned in her presentation, if you believe in yourself, then you should basically go ahead and we'll have it, publicized. So she's done a good job for her first presentation. I must compliment you. And I hope that you will continue doing this as much as possible. Like you said, there's no such thing as failure. You've done a good job, great job. You've had about 75 people on the webinar, engaged. So all you need to do is just fine tune a little more about this presentation and your own perhaps articulation. Rosemary, thank you very much for reminding me of the good old days of the British Council when I was working there, and with you also. We were able to encourage a lot of training. A lot of trainers came into notice, and I'm very happy to know that there has been a certain recognition on this effort of mine. So, having said that, I would just like to add a little more about my own lifelong learning process, which is very interesting for those who have to change careers mid-path, like I did, from an airline career that I had as a pilot. At the middle age of 35 years, I had to switch careers as I was medically unfit to fly. So I had to do, a quick process of getting into some form of a livelihood, you see. And that is where my lifelong learning process started. And all these points that Ayesha has enumerated in her presentation, with regards to belief, with regards to feedback, with regards to not accepting failure, all those things, I applied for myself. And I think I did close to about 300. I attended 300 at that time. There was no webinars, but I had attended about 300 workshops, 1-day workshop, 2-day workshops, half-a-day workshops. And also along with that, I read innumerable number of books, which I continue to do, which I think is what I got was a master's in a master's by myself, you say, without having to go to university, because I was an intermediate student all the way. So all those things have helped me very much in establishing myself a second career at the age of 35, with just about a matriculation in my background. And then through the process that has been shared with you by Ayesha, I have managed to sort of reach to a level where, I'm dealing or have been working with, or people have worked under me who have basically come from blue chip universities, who have masters from American universities, and have managed them quite well, see. And the niyat or the intention, or like somebody rightly pointed out, the irada has always been to help myself first and then help other people as much as possible. So this Octara effort at doing these webinars is aimed at sharing knowledge, but along with that, also encouraging young people to come into the fold, and especially people who don't have the opportunity to come and make themselves available to a larger group of professionals. The Octara effort at doing that is something that I encourage, and I would like to see more of you young people on this platform who are on this particular program to to give it a chance yourself, and we'll encourage you if you would like us to do that. So in the end, again, I'd like to thank participants from different organizations that are here. I believe we have people from Ufone, from Midas Safety, from Hino, from Dalda Foods, from TCS, from Jaffa Group, and from Muscovy. I'd like to thank you all for your time and your patience and your encouragement and your support to this effort of ours at Octara. And again, I would like to, in the end, thank Ayesha for being brave enough and courageous enough to come and address 100 professionals with the little time that she had. And I'm sure that you all could put in a little feedback for her so that she continues doing this and comes up with better presentations in the sense with better subjects. So thank you, Rosemary, for your kind words. It's breakfast time for you. Had you been in Karachi, we would have treated you to breakfast, but maybe for another time when you're here. We thank you, and I thank Sorry?
I just said welcome. I could use some halwa puri or nihari or something like that.
Yes, of course. Next time you're here, we'll treat you to halwa puris. So all participants, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us, and my teammates at Octara, Ayesha, Zainab, Sarim. Thank you for bringing this program live and putting in all the requirements. I'm sorry we had a little bit of a glitch somewhere. Some participant apparently was playing mischief with us, but again, that's part and parcel of this webinar, which is open to everybody to come in and and do whatever they want to do. And we expect that it will not happen. We don't expect participants to do that, but there will always be a black sheep in a large crowd of sheep. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'll leave you all to go and do what you are normally going to do, and I hope that's all related to lifelong learning. Thank you.
Yeah, and JJ, in the end, I would like to mention that I would like to actually thank you for creating such a platform that enables us to test and to try and fail, and to be able to work at the best of our potential. So thank you for creating a platform. And also I would like to thank my colleagues Zainab and Sarim and everyone in the office who helped me in putting together this webinar and listening my webinars over and over and again. Thank you to all the participants. The feedback that I really look forward to your feedback, and the feedback link is in the chat box. And we will send you a presentation and a recording of this session, and you can also use that link in giving your feedback there, because we are above almost a half an hour. So I'll not force you to give your feedback right away, but I really look forward to your feedback in the coming week. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you, Rosemary, for your time, for waking up so early, and you know that you're very special. And thank you to all the participants. See you in another webinar.
Great job, Ayesha.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.